Welcome back everybody to Orange Track Outlaws. Today we are going to do this 1970 Ford Ranchero customization as part of the Three Blind Mice April Challenge. So let's get started with our project. And here it comes now in our custom hauler. We are starting with this green version of the 1970 Ford Ranchero. Wasn't sure what I was going to do with this thing right out of the gate here, but I kind of got a pretty good game plan for it, and I think you're really going to like how this thing turns out. But we're going to get started here, and we're going to start taking it apart. We're going to drill these, drill the heads off the post here. We're going to start off with our little bit and get a little pilot hole going. We're going to get our bigger bit in here and get the rest of the heads off and get this thing apart, see what we got to work with. So we're going to get our screwdriver. After we get the heads drilled off, we're going to pop this thing apart. And pretty basic interior. It's brand new car, so the windshield's in good shape. Not really liking the chrome chassis too much. We're gonna strip that and make it black. So first thing we're gonna do here is I'm gonna clip the little tabs off, pop the old wheel off. We're gonna be doing a wheel swap also. We're gonna get our bowl of super clean out. We're gonna pop that chassis in there and let it do its magic for a little bit. Shouldn't take very long. Next thing we're going to do here is we're going to file off the little bit of the post there so it's nice and smooth. Makes it a little easier to put that thing back together. Next we're going to head off into the Sandblast here and get the body stripped off and ready to get painted. Big fan of the Sandblaster over the paint stripper gels, but don't take very long to get this done. Turns out real nice. Here's a quick look at what the casting looks like after it comes out of the Sandblaster. We're going to put it in our little wire wheel booth here, get that little sandblasting haze off of there. It comes out pretty shiny after that. We're not really going to do a big polish job here since we're going to hit it with some primer and some other paint. So we're just going to get it cleaned up. I'll probably hit it with a little triple aught steel wool just to clean it up, but that's what it looks like. We just test fit our wheels here real quick, just kind of slid them in the base, just to get a good look at what we're doing here. First order of business is going to be to drill out that hood so we can get that big supercharger blower sticking up out of there. So we have to take off the brackets there that hold the front wheels in. We're not really going to need them since we're going to super glue the newer wheels in, but we're going to start off by hole punching on a couple spots here, kind of right in the center. We're going to drill some pilot holes to kind of get our hole started, and then we're going to get the file out and go to town on this hood until we can get the opening just the right size to get that blower through there. So we're going to start off with a couple small pilot holes. We're going to move up a couple bit sizes to make them holes a little bit bigger so we can get our file in there. And then we're going to start working that hood until we can get the blower in there and fits nice and perfect. Kind of a hassle, kind of a process, but just have a little patience and turn on a little music and get that file going. So we got our space there, and we're just going to keep whittling that thing down until it fits. Pretty tedious, but overall I think it's worth it in the end when you do some of these, because they really look good when they're finished. So we got our filing all done. We trimmed our motor down and got it fitting in there. I think it's fitting real nice. It's pretty tight. I think it's proportioned well. I think it's going to look good. So here we go, on to the next step. I'm going to make a street race car. So I'm going to fab up a little wheelie bar as paper clips. I'm probably going to skip most of this because it was a real pain. It took me a while to get this kind of how I wanted it. So but basically just folding them paper clips up, getting somewhat of a little triangle at the end, and a little hook under the bottom to be able to hook that thing into the back of the chassis and kind of make it look like it's attached. To make the wheels, I just cut off the handle of one of my smaller little paint brushes there, and then ended up painting them black. Didn't turn out too awful bad as far as I'm concerned. It really kind of gave the look I was looking for. So we're just gonna keep bending this thing up until I get the kind of the right look of this triangle. It's gonna need trimmed down a little bit so it fits up in there, but just trying to figure out the right look, trying to get it trying to get it to look like it's actually mounted up under there. Trying to make sure that the folds, the bends that go up in the chassis aren't bent too far, so the wheelie bar looks like it's sticking up in the air. Kind of want it to stay out. Something close to like a downward angle, if possible, but this car already sits pretty low as it is. But we got one triangle for one side of the frame kind of figured out, so we're basically going to try to mimic the other side, and kind of want them as identical as possible, so when you put the bar at the end that the wheels are on, that it sits even. It's not too crooked. And when I finally get those, the triangles, the base triangles as I like them, I'm going to super glue a couple supports in there. Yeah, basically this was a real pain in the butt. Probably about the hardest part of the build, to be honest with you, but I think it'll really set it off in the end. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on the side exhaust. A lot of these street racers, they got those through the side exhaust tips, and that's kind of what I'm going for here. So I'm going to start off by center punching a couple holes where I want the exhaust to come through, and then I'll use a smaller drill bit to get a pilot hole going and step up the bit size just a little bit until I can get my my little exhaust tip to stick through there. This actually worked out good by cutting out by the interior really not having anything in the front. Basically what I took was like a ball inflator needle and cut the screw off part off of it, and it's already chrome, so that worked out good. So all you got to do is stick it straight through both holes, and the part on the inside didn't really come in contact with anything, so it actually worked out real nice. And being chrome, didn't have to paint. I'm probably going to try to blue the tips up just a little bit just to give it a little added pop, but Next part here, I cut out a bed cover out of some styrene. That was pretty basic, just cut it to size and fit it in there. Not going to glue it in because I want it to be removable, but I did glue a little wedge in the back by the tailgate to keep the bed cover kind of in place. And what I'm going to do here is add a little wing on the back of the tailgate. There's another little extra flare here. You know, most of these street cars, they have a somewhat of a wing or extended bed on the back, so I just cut another little piece out of styrene. I'm gonna super glue this on. Yeah, see, I'm really liking how this is turning out. And then, if you did notice the holes in the bed cover, I got a little surprise for those at the end that we're gonna save for the reveal. So after everything, after my wings glued in, my wedge is glued in, just going back test fitting it. The bed cover fits well. Kind of liking how this is coming together. But before we get to the paint booth, we are going to get our axle tubes made up and get those ready to go on our chassis. So since the wheels I picked out are too big, it's got a real thin wheelbase on this chassis. We gotta cut the axles in half, trim them back quite a bit, and you see my axle tubes, my brass axle tubes right there. I already went ahead and made those off camera. Lots of videos out there on how to do that, but basically just easy. This is cutting them down to size, shaving out some channels for the super glue, and you know, getting the axles in there so they don't touch, and super gluing them in there. It's really pretty easy. But now we are once we get them done, we're going to test fit them in our chassis. Make sure everything sits right and straight. Make sure our body sits on them, and the wheels are rubbing or hitting any of the fender wells. So as we get our rear axle here finished up, we're going to test fit them in the chassis, and we're going to put our body over them and make sure everything fits right. Make sure it looks straight. Since these wheels are tucked inside the fender wells, we're going to make sure that nothing's rubbing. Got to do that with both axles before I go ahead and glue them in. So rears are looking good. Test fit the fronts. Those are probably going to be just fine since they're not inside any fender wells. There's really nothing those things are going to be hitting. So things are looking good here on the wheels. So we will be able to move on here to our next step. So we got our wheels glued in. Everything sits flat. Here all the wheels roll, which is a good thing. You see the white on there. That's accelerator I sprayed on the super glue to get them to get it to hold faster. It makes the glue turn white. So here's our parts. We've got our chassis there with our new motor glued in. It's stripped off, ready for paint. It's looking pretty good. It's test fit really nice. We've got our body here with our wing glued on, and our side pipe holes, they're drilled out. This thing's about ready for paint. We got a bed cover. We're going to paint that thing too, the same color as the body. So off to the paint booth. We're going to start off with a little gray sealer primer. We're going to put a little 4012 in that to thin it down just a little bit, but this paint really goes on nice and smooth. I really like these sealers. We're going to start off putting somewhat of a lighter coat. We're going to give it some full coverage, but we're not going to lay it on too thick just yet. I'm going to give it a little base for the rest of the primer to stick to. But we're going to hit this. It's going to take, I believe I did it 3 times. I don't have all 3 stages of the primer in here, but we're also going to prime our bed cover. We're going to go with a 2-tone paint style, but the bed cover is going to be, I'm going to take the bed cover through all the paint stages so everything matches up nice. So here we are finishing up our 3rd coat of primer. It's really coating well. It's looking good. The body, this chassis was really pitted up and actually quite a mess. But the primer actually fills it up nice. So we're going to start putting on our first color, which is going to be a pearl silver. We're going to mix it with a little 4030 and a little 4012 from Createx. But I'm going to go ahead and paint the whole thing this pearl silver, but it's actually going to end up being like the lower half of the body. I really like how these brighter pearl colors turn out after you hit them with some clear. They really pop. And the lime green color I got planned for the upper half. I'm really excited how it's going to turn out. But same here with as we did with the primer. We're going to do one easy light coat as a base layer, and then we're going to start layering our paint on until we achieve our desired color here with our silver. And the more bases, or the more coats you keep putting on, you can really start seeing that pearl start to show through, and it starts popping. So now ready for a little color. We're going to go with this pearl lime green on the upper half. I got my lower half all taped off. And same mix here. We're going to put a little 4030 balancing clear in it, a little 4012 reduce it. And we're going to put a handful of coats on this upper half and see if we can't get this green to really pop on this car. So first coat here, nice and light, just like the other ones. Give the rest of the coat something to stick to. We're gonna wait. It dries really fast. We'll wait about 5 minutes and move on to the next color. Same step with the cover. We're going to give that thing a first light coat. Same color as the body. I do have a little something extra I'm going to add to this bed cover later, and we will get to that. Trying out a little new kind of style for me. Hoping it looks pretty cool. But we're going on to another coat of this green. And yeah, as you can see here, that green's really starting to show. It's really starting to pop. And I'm telling you, once that clear comes on there, it's dark. So here's our color, all painted up. We got our tape off, and this is kind of what we're left with. And I'm really liking how that's looking. It's looking fast and mean to me. Can't wait to get that clear on there after that dries up. So while we're dry, we're going to go ahead and paint a little bit of chrome on this chassis. Not a lot going on, but you can see on the engine, I primed it with some black. I'm going to paint that the engine, the blower, a chrome. I'm going to go ahead and paint the front bumper with some chrome. I'm going to follow that up with the rear bumper and paint chrome. And after that's all dry, I'm going to hit all that with a little bit of the Nuln oil, and really try to make it pop. Accentuates, you know, give it some depth and definition. I think it's going to look really well. I think you're going to like it. So as I finish up painting some chrome on my chassis here, I'm I want to thank you guys again for tuning into my channel here and watching me build these custom cars. Um, this is my first 3 Blind Mice challenge. I was really excited for it. I hope you watch me on the next month. I got a nice idea for that coming up. Please check out some of my other customs. I've also been doing a bunch of racing. I don't know if you're like me. I always want to find out what the fastest Hot Wheels is. It's just, I don't know, some crazy addiction. I just got to know which one it is. So I got a bunch of cars in the basement I race on the quarter-mile track. Please check those out, and also some of the other customs and restorations I've got. Just kind of started this channel not too long ago. Been doing the customs and restorations for a while, but thought I'd throw them on here. See if you guys like them. Hope you do. If you do, please like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. But as we're coming to the end here of the chassis detail, it's time to paint a couple added details on our hood here, and also on our bed cover. I was going for a little kind of like a checkerboard pattern. I was looking for just like some subtle green lines underneath a pearl black. So I have some drywall tape actually. I want to see if this is going to give me the effect I'm looking for. So basically just stick them over it. Spray some black on top. Same as the other painting. I'm going to start off with the light coat. Just build it up just a little bit. I'm going to try not to put too much on there so I can still kind of see the green, some green lines underneath. This is just something new I was trying out. I thought I'd give it just a little extra pop rather than just some solid black lines. And I think it turned out okay. I may have put a little too much on, but I guess we'll know for next time. I think it still ended up pretty nice. Just a little something different. So you can see that I take the tape off. There's a little bit of checkerboard lines there on the bed cover. A little bit there on the hood. You can kind of see the pattern a little bit. So I don't think it turned out too awful bad. I'm pretty happy with it. So now we're ready for our final assembly. If you see here, there's a couple extra pieces that I haven't gone over yet. I wanted to have a couple things in my back pocket to surprise you with at the end. So we're going to put our windshield back in. Even though it's a new car, I did dip the windshield in some floor polish just to give it that little extra pop. I didn't really do a whole lot with the interior. I did paint the dashboard with some chrome and hit with the null and oil, but there really wasn't much else inside of it to do. So I'm going to put our chassis on slowly and carefully, making sure everything lines up well. I did drill out the post earlier. That's pretty boring. I didn't put it on camera. I do have some self-tapping screws, so I didn't need to tap the post after that. I really like them self-tapping screws. Makes things a lot easier, since I've broken my fair share of those really small taps. But we're going to screw this base on. We're going to get this thing ready to go. I do have a couple little add-ons there to put on at the end, but this car's looking sharp. You can kind of see the blue tips on the side exhaust there. I don't want to reveal the whole thing yet until the final. So I'm going to show you what we started with. Basic 70 Ford Ranchero. Not a lot of frills here, but made it work. We come out with a nice little street race car here with our blower motor. We got our wheelie bar on the back. You can see I added some parachutes to the back. I did add a roll bar in the bed that goes through the bed cover. Um, Really happy with this car. I think it turned out great. I hope you guys do too. I had a blast building it. Thanks to the Three Blind Mice for putting it on, and I hope to see you guys next month with the next build. Please like and subscribe. See you next time.